Welcome back to another one of Mr. Burson's video tutorials. Today we'll be working on Inventor '06, Sweep and Spline. So in the past we've been making some very unique buildings, we've been making some castles. Today I want to make the front of a business with a very nice awning coming over the top that's kind of a little architecturally fun to work with. And we're going to be using the sweep and spline tools in order to do that. So let's go ahead and start with a 2D sketch. And we're going to start very, very simply today. I'm going to get myself a rectangle. I'm going to bring it out so that's nice and big. We will do, we'll say it's something around, we'll do 10 inches and we'll say that it is 6 inches high. There we go. So 10 inches across, 6 inches high, and that's all we really need to start with. I'm going to hit finish. I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to hit the keyboard shortcut to do that, which is the letter E, and we'll bring it out 2 inches, and that works perfectly. We're going to make a little door on our building just to get started. You don't have to do this on yours. If you'd like to skip ahead, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm going to make a little door on mine. I'm going to make this 2 by 3 inches. That looks good. And then, of course, I will use my dimension tool to set the distance from the side at 1 inch. And I'll hit finish. And I'll hit extrude. And I will flip the direction so that's going into my building. All right. Here's the bit that you need to see. So I'm going to start by making another sketch on the front of my building. I'm going to hit Start 2D Sketch. And we're going to go up to our line tool, but today we are not going to use the line. Today we are going to use the spline tool. And I'm going to go with Control Vertex. You can go with interpolation, but I like Control Vertex a little bit more as it's a little bit easier for us to use the dimension tool with later. So I'm going to click on that, and I want an awning that kind of goes, it sweeps down, it comes over, and it sweeps back up. All right. So it's kind of like providing shade or cover from the rain for people. So I'm going to start up here, and right now it just looks like a normal line. But the first time that you click, you're going to see that this is very different from a normal line. All right. I click, and boom, now we're starting to have something fun here. All right. I'm going to click again over here, click over here, I'm going to click up, and then I'm going to click over to the end here. Now, you see that it's continuing to try and make more lines, but I don't want to make more lines. You see that I already have that option there, that I hit that check mark, and that finishes everything up. And now I have these control points to work with, and that's exactly what I'm going to work with to make this nice and even and to make it kind of the design that I want it to make. So I'm going to start with my dimension tool. I'm going to dimension the end point here with the top of the line. What I did there is I clicked on the end point of my line. Make sure that you're not clicking on the line, but that you're clicking on that end point there. So I'm clicking there. Oh, stopped. I stopped using my dimension tool. So let's go ahead and start using that again. Click the end of my line, click the top there. We'll say that I want this to be 1 inch down. I'm going to click on that control point there, and I'm going to click on this line over here to define the distance between those two. And I say I want this to be 2 inches. And I want the height of it, so from here to here, to be, oh, we already made it at 1 inch, so I'm going to hit cancel. So I'm going to hit dimension on my next one, and I'm going to dimension it from the side over here, and we'll say that I want this at 3 inches on the dot. And we'll say that I want it at from the top to the bottom, we'll go with 2.5 inches. That works. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I want to make this top to bottom 2.5 inches. And then from here to this side over here, we're going to do something, we'll say 2 inches. We'll change this significantly. Then I'm going to drag this one back. I want to make it, maybe we'll say 1.5 inches away from the side there. And then I will make it, well, if we had 1 inch over here, we'll just put a little bit more design into it. We'll say 2 inches down. And there we go. We kind of have this sweeping little design on the top here that is fully dimensioned. You don't have to fully dimension yours. I think it's a lot easier if you do. It's going to make a couple steps down the road easier, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And I'm going to go ahead and say finish sketch. Now, here is where the fun part comes in. We are not going to do anything with this line just yet. I'm going to go to the side of my building and I'm going to start a new sketch here. Now, I want this shade to be rectangular in shape. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press and hold shift and use my middle mouse button to rotate my camera just slightly so that I can see a little bit of the front of the building. And I'm going to make a new rectangle right here, and we're going to make it something like this, all right? Now I'm going to start dimensioning this out. I want this rectangle to come out 2 inches, and I want it to be, we'll say, 0.25 inches in width. Now, here is kind of the tougher part. I want to make sure that this rectangle is properly over. Kind of want to put it in the middle of the spline. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. I'm going to click and drag a corner of my rectangle. Once I have both these dimensions, I'm going to click and drag a corner of my rectangle so I can move it around a little bit. And what I'm aiming to do is put this middle point right here kind of between these two. Now I'm going to go ahead and start using my dimension tool again, but you're going to notice I have a problem. I cannot select the end of that line that I made here in order to try and help me dimension this out. So this is why it's important that I did all those dimensions earlier. I know that this is exactly 2 inches down because I defined it up here. So if I make the top of this right here, if I uh, do a dimension from the top of my rectangle here to the top of my building up here, and I make this, we'll do, I think 1.875 will put us right in the middle. So from the top to the bottom, this little point, the end of my line right there, is right in the middle. The other thing I'm going to mention is this line to the side of my building right here, and we'll define this as 0.125. The reason I'm saying 0.125 is that is half of 0.25, and that's why this 1.875 is here as well. 2 minus 1.22 minus 1. One more time. 2 minus 0.125 is 1.875, which puts it exactly halfway between since I made it 0.25 over here. With those dimensions in place, I am done with this rectangle. I'm going to be done using the dimension tool. I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. Now I'm going to go back to my home and I'm going to see that I have this rectangle here. I have this spline here. What can I do with it? Well, I will show you. This is where our new tool comes in called Sweep. Sweep is first going to ask you to select the profile. The profile that we want to use is this rectangle that we just made. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm clicking on the middle of this rectangle. I'm going to make sure I'm also clicking on this little bit right here. So with the whole rectangle selected, I'm going to hit select curve or edge. After that, I'm going to click on select curve or edge, and you guessed it, I'm going to click on my spline here. And boom, we see how that automatically makes that really, really cool awning. And I want to make sure that this is under Boolean, that it's a join. I do not want it to be a cut. I want it to be a join, and I'm going to hit OK. And there we have this cool little kind of like a shady area to work with now. It's kind of like the front of a building. I'm going to have a little bit more fun with this tool as well. I'm not going to use Spline again, but I am going to use a line and arc tool. So let's go ahead and start another 2D sketch on the front here. And we'll say that I'm just kind of making a neat little design over here. And this is just to show how we can use sweep in another way. I'm going to hit the down arrow so that I can go back to the line tool. I'm going to create 2 lines here. I'm going to create a line that comes up here, and I want to stop making this line right here. I don't want to make another line. I'm going to hit escape to stop making a line. I'm going to hit the line tool again to get it back up and running. I'm going to create another line that goes right over here, and I'm going to hit escape again. You'll notice that I did not connect these 2 lines. That's going to come right now with the arc tool. I'm going to select the endpoint of one line, I'm going to select the endpoint of the other line, and then I'm going to make this arc somewhere around here. Now I'm going to fix this in just a moment because I don't really want it to look like this. It looks like there's like this growth growing out of my lines here, and I don't want it to look like that. I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to use one of my constraint tools. I'm going to say that I want a constraint here called tangent, and what tangent is going to do is it's going to line the line up with the edge of the circle so that it's a nice smooth curve. So I'm going to click on the line, then I'm going to click on the circle, and you see that that straightened it out. I'm going to do the same thing down here with the tangent tool still selected. I'm going to click on the line, and I'm going to click on the circle, and that made that curve nice and even, nice and smooth going from one line to another. I'm going to hit escape, and as always, I'm going to dimension everything out. We'll call this line over here 2 inches. Whoop! did something I didn't want it to do. It flipped over to the other side, but that is okay. I can click and drag this point. Let's see if it's going to play nice with me. Ooh, it's not going to play nice. Let's hit Control Z. Let's go back to where we were before. We'll leave that dimension there. I'm going to go ahead and dimension this. We'll do that at 2.5 inches. And we'll see, are we going to play nice this time? There we go. All right, so it just needed this to be dimensioned first, and now it's playing nice with me. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension this at 0.5. So that's going to say that this arc has a radius of 1/2 inch. And now I have a little door here that comes up 3 inches, or not really a door. You're going to see what I do with it in just a moment, all right? I'm going to go ahead and hit finish sketch because I'm done sketching with it. Going to click on the side of my building again. I'm going to hit start another 2D sketch. Again, I'm going to move my camera around a little bit so that I can see the edge of my circle, the edge of my line here. This time around, I'm going to use the circle tool. I'm going to line it up with the line. I'm going to get close to center, but we're going to use the dimension tool to make sure that it's centered properly. I'm going to use my dimension tool, and I'm going to make this, we'll do 0.25. And you can see it shot down, and well, I didn't really want that, but that is okay because I can click on the center of this again using my dimension tool. And then I'm going to click on the, now I want you to take note there. Notice that I have two different things that it's trying to select here. That middle dot up here, that little green dot that you see is the middle of this yellow line, and I don't necessarily want that. I want the middle of my circle here. So I'm going to click on that middle dot. Going to click on the bottom of my building again, and I'm going to say that I want this at 3 inches because I know that that 2.5 plus that 1/2 inch up here makes 3 inches, and so that lines it up perfectly with the center of that line that I made. I'm going to hit finish sketch. I'm going to hit my home button, and I think you can see where this is going from here. I'm going to click on my sweep tool again. I'm going to select on that profile. Okay, so I click one half of my circle, I click the other half of my circle. Select curve or edge. I'm going to hit that line that we just made. Again, I want this to be a join operation, and I'm going to hit OK. And there we have it. Kind of just like a little design over here, just to play around with the sweep tool. If I wanted to, and I wanted to do a cut instead, you can see that it kind of cuts a little path out of the building instead. But I want to leave that as a join, so I'm going to double click. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to hit that to be a joint operation. Well, there we have it. There's kind of the front of your building. Your assignment for today is to make a couple more sweeps. You can use a line and an arc. You can use a spline if you want to, but I'd like to see at least 2 more sweeps on the outside of this building. Maybe you make a line that goes up and over this doorway and make kind of a little design around it. If you did that, then all you have to do is make a sketch on the bottom here in order to make the profile that it's going to sweep along. Otherwise, that's all there is for this video tutorial. If you have any questions, always feel free to ask, and have a good day.